Certainly not throwing in the hat. Now, there have been one or two dissensions in the Canadian camp because some vital players haven't turned up for this game. Notably, Pesce Solido and Radzinski. Pesce Solido, part of a tragedy on the field of play in that period I was talking about. They were twice hosts, of course, but nevertheless, it's a very good record. Although many people say a false record because they've been qualifying in what is universally recognized as one of the easiest groups of all, the CONCACAF group. And within CONCACAF, of course, we have supporters, but I think it requires a degree of courage to come to Canada, given the weather, very cold weather forecasts. And no doubt they'll be congregating tonight just outside the Zona Rosa at the Monument Independencia. And when I've been in Mexico watching them celebrate there, they turn up in thousands. Even when Mexico have a simple victory, well, tonight they may celebrate qualification for the World Cup again. A disdainful look down there by Mark Watson at his opponent, Zagwe, sometimes called Mario Alves. Notice the Mexican players with the gloves, and some are wearing the long drawers as well, and I can hardly blame them. And it goes on a neat touch over by Craig Forrest. He rose to that exceptionally well. Forrest is one of the players who feels that some of his colleagues are picking and choosing the games to come to Canada. He himself is always very proud to play, and playing like that, the Canadians can hardly do without him. Davino there from Guadalajara. Four of the players on the side tonight are from Guadalajara. Long break out of defense. That's a better looking ball through the middle. Corazin trying to put it in, and a very good interception there eventually. Enrique Alfaro from Toluca, sliding right across, and Jorge Campos, that very colorful goalkeeper, I think probably a little disappointed that he didn't bring out, or hadn't to bring out a wonderful save. He is a law unto himself. Now watch this tackle here. This is the one that really mattered. Well, a man who comes from Toluca, I've just mentioned, has admitted that sometimes it gets a little chilly up there. One of the highest places, even above Mexico City, but I don't think he's experienced weather quite like this. Taken away here by Ramon Ramirez, another of the Guadalajara players. And you'll notice that they'll feed the tall, fair-haired color on the left here, number 11, Zagwe, gets a lot of service, especially long, high balls. He's very powerful, straightforward player as compared to some of the other Mexicans. There he is, Zagwe. Wants to go for it again. Playing that with, trying to get a bit of pace in here, and almost coming up there was Enrique Alfaro. Not a terribly clever kick out there by Forrest. Playing his football for Ipswich, of course, and been rather annoyed that sometimes when he's come back to Canada and go back to England, he's lost his place. Oh dear, that's the privation of playing in the World Cup games nowadays. Like 10 green bottles standing on the wall. The flick back by Corazin. Away goes Galindo. Zagwe, not far away. He took it very well, and of course the ball was played to his favorite side, really driving it in. I think he came to the fore for Eurosport when we covered the first Copa America, and Mexico were invited out of the group into South American, distinctly South American competition, and reached the final because of the play of this man. He scored 4 goals in that competition. And he is pretty prolific. In all, he scored 30 goals for Mexico. And surely the Canadians, who are, if nothing else, very methodical, will have had this man surveyed very carefully on how the Mexicans play to him. Suarez. Just touched out. This group has been thrown rather into the melting pot. It looked as if the States, if not actually coasting through to the finals, were now being heavily backed until they played Jamaica. And there was a 1-1 draw there. And that has given them food for afterthought. So Jamaica have come up in that group. Well, Mexico will like to play the ball in the ground like this. Beautifully turned around there by Galindo. Trouble with the Mexicans is, even when they hosted their own tournament, they're not exactly possessed of the killer instinct. Only getting as far as the quarterfinals. Pardo. You can hear some Mexicans in the crowd. Obviously, a few of them have decided to brazen this out, and I don't think he was trying to deceive the goalkeeper that time. That was a total miscue by Pavel Pardo. Looked as if that ball was being held back slightly in the wind. A lot of good support work going on here. That was Suarez coming back. Zagwe. I think he was looking for the 1-2 there with Alfaro. They've left Hermosillo up front almost on his own. Dulia Davino. Davino playing in his 22nd game for Mexico. And he's made his recent clear-cut ambition to score a goal for his country, which he has yet failed to do. He does come forward for some of the free kicks. Galindo tried to pick that up, and it must go in. Alfaro. Suddenly there was nothing on the left-hand side of the Canadian defense, and in exactly 7.5 minutes, Mexico, after playing that very good possession football, keeping the ball low and concise in the passing, go 1-up. Enrique Alfaro, the scorer. Bad mistake there, not keeping his eye on the ball. Neatly flicked in by Hermosillo. And terrible ball watching at the near post. We had Yallop and DeSantis there, and they really should, one or other, have picked that up.
Number 18, Enrique Alfaro.
Bad blow for the Canadians, who are playing now, I think, mostly for pride, and I think we're now beginning to see how efficient Bora has made this team again. Came from Yugoslavian football, Bora. Speaks a rather quaint English, transmogrified, if you like, by his long stay in Mexico City, dealing with the Americans, of course, as well. And you couldn't meet a nicer gentleman. When he coached the Costa Rican team, of course, nobody gave them a chance. And then they played splendidly in that very difficult group. To start off with, Scotland, Brazil, and Sweden qualifying for the second round. A Yugoslav who now very proudly says he's Serbian. Pardo. Suarez. Tall figure of Davino again. And you can see how difficult it is for Canada to pick up anything in midfield and be creative. There's no real ball winner there. Well, the coach, Bob Lenarduzzi, has worked very hard with his side. He himself a former Canadian player. Played to the outside by Watson. Bunbury had come back very deep. DeSantis. Every now and again they're trying to push the ball out to the left-hand side here, where Martin Nash comes in. Coming in very hard there, plays in lower divisions of England in football with Stockport. Not exactly a record-breaking crowd in the stadium, and there, Yogi Campos. Now, I've seen this man during a game coming well over the halfway line, and not for any special occasions like corner kicks. He just likes to wander from time to time. Now, he's dressed very soberly this evening. Normally, he's dressed like the plumage of a tropical bird. Well, you might think it's garish, but you should see some of his other outfits. Mostly psychedelic. Pushed forward by Pardo again. That's Galindo. Ball just taken away from him. On this near side towards Colin Miller. Player in Scottish club football with Dunfermline, who have an important semi-final tie with Celtic coming up on Tuesday. Cannot open out the ball. Well, it is this time by Nash. Gorazin, I think he was fouled. The referee from Guatemala doesn't agree. And on the go again, this could be dangerous. It's not Zagwe this time on the left. He's fed there by Garcia Aspe, and back to him. Now Ramirez. Neat little piece of footwork, and nobody following through the middle. Good play by Garcia Aspe. Another prolific goal scorer. Mexico plays so many international games that many of the goal scorers are up in the 60s and 70s. Garcia Aspe, the latter name player, has scored 69. Now away by Pardo. Alvaro, the goal scorer. And the Canadians just glad to hook it away. There's Milutinovic, or Bora, right at the end with the shades on. Well, that little caption you saw there is not maybe exactly true. They've been beaten by others. And then flashing shot there. This time Carlos Hermosillo plays for that very famous Canadian side, Cruz Azul. Very experienced player, one of the older players in the side at 33. And would you believe he has scored 94 goals in his time for Mexico. And this is where it's all breaking down, that final pass, and the Mexicans turning back the tide, as it were, very creatively from midfield. Forward by Suarez. Ramirez, come back just a little bit deeper. Zagwe. Couldn't quite get that little overlap to him, does now. That's Ramirez. A lot of pace there in the wing back. Could have done with a little dummy by Hermosillo. Coming up, Garcia Aspe. And Yalop quite content to leave it to Craig Forrest. Well, he was really warmed up for this game with that excellent save in the first couple of minutes. But I must say, in his defense, that what has happened subsequently is he's looking a little bit vulnerable with a fragile and at times slightly disorganized looking Canadian defense. Well, Bora has been telling his Mexican players not to worry too much about the climate, that once the game started they would forget everything. Well, there's one of the little sign from Calgary, which is the rival town of Edmonton, as it were, just further south in Alberta. This stadium built for the Commonwealth Games originally, and now is the host for everything from athletics to baseball to Canadian football and soccer. That's a bit of ball. Garcia Aspe. Coyote. They try to touch that forward, and you can see the way that Bora has them well disciplined when they break from midfield. At least 3 or 4 players lying there with so many options for Coyote to spread the ball about. And indeed, I think this is what is confusing this Canadian defense. Mexico simply have too many options open for them. And there are more goals coming up here if it goes on like this. Chased there by Onga. Zagwe. Well, he wins the corner kick again, and having, I'm sure, been pre-warned about this man and seen his earlier signs of this game, it seems to me almost reckless to allow balls played beyond the single defender to run onto like that. He's got to cause havoc if he gets these opportunities again. Plays for Atlanta. Well, Canadian football, very much like American football, but perhaps even more so, finding it always a struggle to be accepted in an entirely different sporting culture. Everything geared towards the American football style that they play here. And consequently, a Canadian success in the World Cup would be a tremendous boost to them. Here's the break. Picked easily up by Pardo. Ramirez might just be a little bit hard, though very well kept in by Coyote. One of the other Guadalajara players in the side, Coyote. And again, playing on this right-hand side, he's played, this is his 29th game for Mexico, but he's still to score a goal, yet he looks quite an aggressive player. We're there by Yalop. Yalop playing for Tampa Bay in the North American Soccer League. Ramirez holding on to that well. Play by Samuel. Beautiful little touch on here. Pardo. And really all the football coming from Mexico. Ramirez seeing a lot of the ball down the left-hand side here and letting fly himself well underneath that. No chance of a goal there, and I think Forrest had it well covered. Like Bardivino. Now at walking pace. Very early doors yet. Only 20 minutes gone, but I do feel they sense they have the beating of this Canadian team any way they like. Either in that rip-snorting whirlwind start, or just more casually and in sudden breaks like this as Pardo goes in. Well, you can see how well they link. And I think what we're seeing exhibited clearly is the stark gulf between a side which is trying to come to terms with football at World Cup level and one which is very experienced in it. Pardo again. Bunbury has got back to that. And everybody back. The red shirts massed right along the 18-yard line. And look at the number of passes coming from that left foot of Ramirez. They've slowed the play right down. They know exactly what they're doing. Zagwe. They're almost toying with the Canadians at the moment. Pardo looks for an opening, and it might have been just a gentle little shove there. But no complaint from the Mexicans. Might see the traces of the Canadian football gridiron there, just underneath. I think that kind of symbolizes the difficulty of the soccer player in North America. Can't get away from the imprint of the other culture. He's looking very impressive now on his side. That was O'Farrell who picks that up. Bad ball though, meant for Galindo. Now DeSantis. Nick DeSantis playing his football in the Canadian League for Montreal Santos. Well, he plays on this left-hand side, but he's been very productive as far as goal scoring is concerned by Canadian standards. As a defender, he scored 8 times. Almost an opening there made by Corazin. And trying to give them some inspiration, Colin Miller. There you are, that's Campos up to his little tricks. I think we'll see something flamboyant from him. You may remember that wonderful save he had at Wembley, which was like something you might see in a circus act, when he did a somersault and cleared the ball off the line with his heels, whilst his heels were above his head. Full stop to Yogi. Played a bit of ball in there, and just beyond the 2 men who'd come up there, Bent trying to go in as well. And a bit of a collision, which on a cold day is rather accentuated. And down heavily went Pavel Pardo. And even though Yogi Campos was looking into the sun there, a very confident save and a very safe pair of hands. Well, Campos likes to play outfield as well. He's done that often, hence his penchant for coming upfield. 1 or 2 words being passed from the coach there. The man right at the front is Jeff Unger, another of the North American Soccer League players with New England Revolution. The Mexicans were always favorites to top their group. They had some unexpected results, of course, in the first round, and remember it's the top three who go through. In the first round, they were surprisingly beaten by Jamaica by 1-0, but then they reasserted themselves, won 6-0 against them in the second round. And as I said, just one victory away from full qualification. And they've been notching up the goals, still to be beaten. Scored 18 goals, 2 against in the process. And going down heavily that time, Enrique Alfaro, goal scorer, and interrupting the flow of play. Bora Milutinovic, by the way, is managing his 213th international football match. Well, I don't have it to hand at the moment, but I would imagine that's almost a Guinness Book of Records statistic. And Canada going away again with 20 minutes of this first half remaining. We haven't exactly seen a footballing exhibition by Mexico, but they have had supremacy in the dictating the whole quality of this game. Well, Martin Nash is stuffy if nothing else, sticking to his task very well. Keeps his eye on the ball. But again, I felt he was rather isolated away on the left-hand side. And so nothing coming of his individual effort. This game at its earlier stages suggesting that Canada still have a very long way to go. And I don't mean just in qualifying for France, which I think is now beyond them, but I mean in attaining a status and credibility. Hooked forward there by Pardo. Back it goes to Galindo. Full of these cute little overlaps, and there's a mistake again by the defender. DeSantis taking his eye off it. And that little flurry again came from down the left-hand side, where they are particularly strong. Maybe just, well, to his credit, he did recover very quickly, as that angle revealed. Throw to Mexico, who I'm quite sure will want another goal before half-time. Yeah, the thermals are in there. Look at the assistant referee. He's dancing up and down as well. He comes from Guatemala as well. As far as I know, they don't have any ice in that country of any kind except in the fridge. And there's Zagwe. Can he get it? I think it's well within his reach. Easy one that time, off the foot of Carlos Hermosillo. Seems to be a kind of contentment about the way the Mexicans are playing this game. Very keen to score as many goals as they can, of course, just to make absolutely sure, but they're being very patient. I'm quite sure that comes from the coaching of Bora Milutinovic, coming as he does from a Yugoslavian heritage, where the play has always been very sound and technical, and that he has imported into the ways of Central America. Expectancy as the ball is taken away by Samuel. and he can't get it under control quickly enough. Onga missing out in that again. Just about 15 minutes to have time. And certainly Mexico would feel just a little bit uneasy if the Canadians were to equalize before half-time, but at the moment it looks as if there's as much chance of seeing that as coming across a palm tree in Main Street, Edmonton. Striding away is Davino, beginning to come forward. As I said, he's declared his ambition to score for Mexico. And I would imagine, too, that Milutinovic, as he showed with the Costa Rican side and also with the States in the World Cup there, that although his teams play very attractive attacking football, that he bases everything firstly on sound defense. So I'm quite sure number 5 you saw there, Davino, has been told not to be too reckless in the way he comes forward. That's a better ball inside, and having gone away across to the other side, Nash trying to bring about a little bit of enterprise on the right-hand side. But they're finding it hard going, Canada. Davino. Ramirez. You're looking for Zagwe on the left-hand side again. Instead it goes to Garcia Aspe. Try to get it back to Zagwe. And I think the Canadian defense a little bit fortunate that they were able to clear that. Suspect 1 or 2 players had no idea where that ball was going to end up. That's a free kick. Well, they've got to get the bigger men into the box and grab every opportunity they can. Well, we may be getting a substitution here. Carl Fletcher about to come on. And they're looking for a substitution now. Won't come just for a moment. They've got to clear this well. Watson, it appears, about to come off. Still not substituting. Well, referee seeing it now, I think. And Carl Fletcher, who was born in the West Indies in Plymouth, plays for Montreal Impact. 24 years of age. And this is his first World Cup qualifying campaign, like many of the other younger Canadian players. Zagwe, look at the freedom he got again. That could be touched in. Wonderful clearance. Samuel just getting his foot to it. He did exceptionally well there. Randy Samuel, again, a Caribbean extract player from Trinidad and Tobago, naturalized Canadian, getting his foot out to that. Well, he'll be used to something like this. Samuel playing in Norwegian football. Lays it out. That's a clever ball by Zagwe. Can he pick his place? That's a wonderful save. He's had 2 superlative saves in this match. Instinctive, and that very first one where he must have been not fully warmed up. It's perhaps even better than this. Driven in there by Enrique Alfaro. Alfaro, by the way, plays at tremendous altitude with Toluca. So he must be rather familiar with balls flying very high when you shoot. When we were up there for the World Cup in Toluca, you felt as if you needed, at times anyway, an oxygen mask, depending on what time you got to bed at night, of course. That's going to be straight through to the goalkeeper. The Mexican player left on his own up front. Hermosillo deciding to come back away from that rather obvious offside position. No, they couldn't run forward. They realized they might just have been offside. Wow, this is dreadful picking up by the Canadians. Look at all the space that Suarez had. He just strolled in to get that ball in that empty space there. That certainly won't do. No, I think at any level. We're watching, by the way, in some of the European qualifying games, and indeed you can see this after this program in very comprehensive highlights, how teams without any particular stars, without any notable caliber to the side, can, with good teamwork, and good teamwork means making sure the opposition can never settle, never relax, never have space, they can go far. There are many examples of that you'll see in our next program, and that's where the Canadians, from the evidence of this game, have a lot to learn. Well, despite their superiority, one has to remind oneself there's only one goal in it. And if last night you saw that incredible ending to the Finland-Hungary match, where a goal came in stoppage time after Finland had dominated the game and had knocked them out of the World Cup and the possibility of playoffs, you can say that at this stage almost anything can happen. Taken by Pardo. Well, that was rather mild, but I suppose technically correct. Free kick. Looks as if Benjamin Galindo will take this. Plays for Santos Laguna, and they say. Looking away across to that far side. There's a lot of curl in it, and that was meant for Zague. So often we've seen the tall, fair-haired player come in to pick up balls like that. Well, running forward there to pick it up was the substitute. Well, I think his presence more than the contact got him that advantage. Number 23, Carl Fletcher. Quick glimpse there of Jason Bent. Plays in the second division in Germany for Zwickau. Haven't seen him terribly much in this game. So about 7 minutes remaining of this first half. I think Boran Milutinovic might be a little bit stern in his talk at half-time. I think he might get a corner out of this. So it's still in play. One away by Samuel again. Nash got out of that very well. Well, that's a bad ball. Imagine giving that to Coyote the way he did. And that must be another one. No, miss by Hermosillo. Well, I mentioned Boran Milutinovic just before that attack, and I think he might be a little bit concerned about the slackness in front of goal now. And up stepped Hermosillo to give us an example of what might concern him. digging it down into the ground, lacking a little bit of composure and timing. Certainly got into the right position. All we've had from the Canadians so far, some neat but rather ineffectual play in midfield, but they always seem to be outnumbered. Small band of Mexican supporters making their presence felt, as Ramirez puts it in rather weaker this time. What a fine goalkeeper this man is. Craig Forrest, coming up for 30 years of age. Played to the outside to Zagwe again. This is a better position for them. Well away that time. De Santos getting into it quickly. Better covering. Galindo. Hardly anybody in a red shirt in the Mexican half. They've now got themselves into a kind of defensive rut, largely due to the way that Mexico have commanded midfield. Less than 4 minutes remaining of the first half. But despite all the superiority, there's still the narrowest of margins between them. Other important games coming up, of course. The United States have to play Jamaica again, have to play Mexico. So these top three places, with El Salvador just coming in behind the United States at the moment, are still open to question to a certain degree. Still think the USA would manage it, but they were disappointed, enormously disappointed in their 1-1 draw. But Mexico topping the section. They had a good win against El Salvador, scoring 6 goals in 2 games against them. Then they run up that score against Jamaica. One of the hardest games, curiously enough, was against Costa Rica in the Aztec Stadium. Bora Milutanovic's former charges. There was no scoring in that game, the only time they failed to score. Again, they've been told to be patient. That's a better ball. This might pay off for them this time. And again, that lack of composure. And again, it's Hermosillo. That's the second one. The Cruzado player has missed in very good positions indeed. Look at that beautiful little ball floated in from that extremely intelligent left foot of Ramon Ramirez. And the ending deserved better. I think the phrase is that Craig Forrest stood tall in that one. I think what he's also done is impressed the Mexicans. And the very fact that you've a very fine goalkeeper in front of you, and you go in a 1-on-1, sometimes it can influence you. Has to play the very simple ball. Haven't been all that many stoppages, so I don't imagine there will be much stoppage time in this. Bunbury, better ball to the outside. Well, far too obvious and easily cleared that time. Suarez coming across to pick it up. Forward there by De Santis. Well, the final ball simply isn't good enough, trying to get it into the box. Bunbury did all the running there. Alex Bunbury, 31st game, 62 goals. And he went almost 2 years without scoring an international goal, and that ball just swings harmlessly behind. And indeed, hardly any stoppage time at all, a couple of seconds or so, which is unusual nowadays, I suppose. And we have a substitution as Dominic Mobilio from Vancouver, 86ers, comes on to the field. Number 7. So that's the second change we've had. The figure there with his back to us, player I've long admired since I watched him in the Copa America. Zagwe, number 11. Doesn't look like a Mexican. Looks as if he's a product of somebody who's passed through Mexico at some time. Nicely flighted by Galindo. They've been full of little touches like that, but lacking a real goal scorer. Lacking a Hugo Sanchez, if you like. But then which side wouldn't do with an Hugo Sanchez? And Zagwe using his right foot this time. This could be the second now. Didn't quite get hold of it that time. That was Alfaro. That would have been his second goal. Just swept away by the youngster Jason Bent. And away by Ramirez. Ramirez very much a left-sided player. Haven't seen him doing anything with his right foot, but I don't think that matters too much. He's purveying some splendid passes up front with that left foot of his. That was him with the ball there. There's Zagwe. I must say, I haven't very often seen him going to the right-hand side and chipping a ball in as he did just a few seconds ago. Oh, Zagwe, now he's a player inside. Just a little bit too far back there as Pardo came up. But that was a calamitous piece of defending again. Garcia Aspe couldn't pick that up. Coyote does. Look at the pace. That's something extra they have that the Canadians don't seem to be able to match. Better play by Bunbury that time, just putting a little bit of work on the ball. Seemed to have plenty of time to do it. No free kick, surprisingly. Almost picked up there by Fletcher. Plenty opportunity for a little ball in front of Zagwe. I think they might just win a throw there as Fletcher came back. He's done that very well, Fletcher. We saw him defending against Zagwe in the first half when a very dangerous ball was floated over to the far post. Just got in there for a touch. There he is back there again. I think brought on to stop the obvious demolition of the right-hand side of this Canadian defense, which was going on every time Zagwe was on the ball. Well, Bora quite content with the way things have gone in general, the general shape of the Mexican side, except for that scoring touch in the box. A lot of booing going on here. Seemed to me that Nick DeSantis from Montreal was booked for that. Even he is wearing gloves. Stab down the left-hand side. Zagwe tried to come in on it. Well, there's a bit of a leeway here. First time we've had a kind of vacuum appearing on the left-hand side of that Mexican defense. Alfaro did try to get back as quickly as he could. So a corner kick to be taken by Martin Nash. Well, Campos, I think, was impeded. Normally, he has a very good pair of hands. And normally, he has that broad smile on his face. You can see he's not the tallest of goalkeepers, but he makes up for the lack of inches with an enormous spring in his step. Up he gets. And a little sandwich takes him out of the play. Play there by Carlo Corazin. Well, Hermosillo lost sight of that. That's a bit of Zagwe. Is he onside? I think he is. And a very good piece of defending again by Fletcher. I'm quite sure he might not have got a final touch to that, but the very fact that he seemed manacled to Zagwe put Zagwe off. Again, beautiful ball by Galindo, and watch the way he cuts across him there. Now that was a very dangerous tackle indeed, which could have brought about a penalty kick. Craig Forrest, no chance for that first goal, left totally exposed. Miller. Zagwe coming back. We've seen a lot of him in this second half. Zagwe goes forward, back again. Little run into the box, and a very good one if it can be cut back by Hermosillo. Now away comes the youngster, Bent. He's only 20 years of age. And they're getting bogged down in midfield. There has to be more fluency than that about the Canadian play. There's a ball played by Zagwe, and this excellent tackle here with the near side leg too, which sometimes can produce penalty kicks. I was saying about Jason Bent, he comes from the second division in Germany, from Zwickau, where he's based at the moment. He's only 20, and of course called up to join the team because of the absence of others, including Pesky Solido, about whom there's a certain amount of controversy about why he's not here in the first place. By the way, Bent is not a regular with Zwickau. He's only had 7 appearances for them this season so far. Oh, better running outside. Samuel tried to come up here. Peels for the penalty. The referee points generally in that direction, but has no desire to give it. And the small Canadian crowd beginning to warm to this. They're lacking guile, but certainly lacking nothing in spirit. Here's this effort here as the ball is played down, and well, as Nash went down, difficult. Fletcher taking that very quickly. Ball out of play. Well, if you watched Mexican national football through the years, you're seeing a definitive display by them. Bags full of attractive one-touch football, but lacking so much bite in front of goal. I mean, they've flooded midfield. Tactically, that has been the core of their success so far. They simply have better players out there. But it's got to add up to something more meaningful than a one-goal lead. Bunbury gone through the middle. Nash takes it up again. Better run by Nash this time. I think he just kept it in, but a very good tackle by Garcia Aspe, who came back to defend. He's had a quietish game by his standards. Look at the pace again. Helps to take the ball with you. Another trait the Mexicans have is they don't like pressurized physically. They drive forward in a kind of phalanx of attacking the Canadians. They might upset this Mexican defense. All their play is based on the nicety of football, and sometimes it's too precious. Nothing precious about that. That's a free kick. And there, it's in the net. Suddenly, as we watch that replay, the ball sent across and Corazin comes in. The man from way down south of England at Plymouth, with the local team there, Argyle. And look at the coach, Bob Lenarduzzi. Well, the Mexicans have asked for that. They've outplayed Canada in all respects, except what happens in the box. And so often we've seen that. Corazin snatching the equalizer. And if that doesn't bring the Mexicans to their senses, I don't know what will. There's always the chance of that statistically in a game. I thought it was fairly outlandish prospect myself, to be honest, given they haven't had a clear-cut shot at goal. But they managed to scramble that one. That's his third goal for Canada in his 26 caps. Now, they're still way out of the reckoning, of course, in qualification. But mathematically, I suppose they still think something might happen. Supposing they won this, they would get up to 8 points. They have other games to come. They kept winning. Well, a remote chance, and this Canadian crowd probably waking up to that realization. Now they'll grow a few inches on the back of that goal, all right, and the Mexicans will know they've been playing. Oh dear, that was carrying enthusiasm a little bit too far. Alex Bunbury plays his football with Maritimo in the Portuguese First Division. Very fine player, Bunbury, as long as he has very strong support beside him. Born in Guyana, and at almost 6'2", is very good on the air as well. Well, the aficionados of South America or Central American football will have full knowledge of the way that Mexico can sometimes blow their chances simply because they cannot score goals. And I go back to the final that we did live, the Copa America, when they first appeared in that competition, where they outplayed Argentina in the final. but they were beaten by one gentleman, brilliant on the counter-attack, called Gabriel Batistuta. He taught them a lesson or two about finishing in the box. And that goes awry again. Yes, free kick. I think they're going for every ball with an extra relish now, the Canadians. Challenge there by Frank Yallop. Again, playing his football in warmer climes with Tampa Bay. That's to the far post. That's a very intelligent ball, that, but I think he wasn't helped by the wind. Hermosillo couldn't keep that in. So we're coming to the first quarter of the second half, and Canada, thankfully for them and for the state of the game, have fought back. It's now one each. They're attacking in force this time. Ramirez trying to get it to that left foot of his. The ball played just slightly too far behind him. Now the Canadians were to pull off a surprise victory here. I think it might lessen the chances of the United States to qualify, because they have to play here in Canada. And there's no love lost between these two nations, as you may well imagine. I think it would be a very difficult game for the Americans, given that they're not the greatest team in the world, full of athleticism. But then again, so the Canadians, here's Zagwe now, getting it to the left foot of his. Oh, and he might have got himself. And an appeal for obstruction there by Garcia Aspe, who went right into the middle of the penalty area, but the referee turns away from his cry. That's a free kick. The wind whipping up now, making that first touch very awkward indeed. Zagwe thumped, I think. Well, I think the referee from Guatemala has got a soft touch. Look at this. I mean, if this was European football, there would have been about 10 yellow cards already. Zagwe. And how often they're trying to get the ball right middle to him as he breaks from the left-hand side.
Thank you very much, Peter. Just talked to Bob Lenarduzzi about the second half. I said, what'd you tell the guys at the half? He said, push a lot harder. They needed more chances. Obviously, it's working right now. Things looking somewhat better in the first half. Peter, back to you.
Thank you very much for that. That's a ringside view from friend Ken. Well, I don't think it was the Gettysburg Address the coach was giving him exactly. I think it was fairly obvious what they had to do. Wasted effort there by Mexico. And they're simply not relishing the fact that after all their superiority, it's back to level terms. Bunbury. Really are playing much better now, the Canadians. Got their self-confidence back. Oh, just beyond bent, but he wants it again. And that neatness of the way that Mexico are playing in midfield has been more than matched by the enthusiasm and the newfound energy of this Canadian side. Frank Yallop will take this. Bunbury right in the heart of this, and I think Jason Bent might have been claiming there was a slight nudge on him as he went for that. Part of the learning process for this young player. He will certainly get a very sound grounding in the technical side of the game, playing in Germany. And it's possible he has the potential to introduce flair in this Canadian team, which is badly needed. There's Bunbury, wants to go for the winner. Oh, yes! Bunbury has put Canada in the lead. Quite astonishing lead by a side so long outplayed in this game. And as I said earlier on, when Mexico only had that very slender lead, as we will see tonight, later in our highlights program, you pay a heavy penalty if there's a lapse in concentration. Some teams already put out of the World Cup, even though they had outplayed the opposition. And here, another example of a team fighting back with vigor and enthusiasm, and Alec Bunbury coming in there. That's his 63rd goal for Canada. And that's why they took him to Maritimo in Portugal. Well, if it stays like this, this group, the CONCACAF group, final group with 3 to qualify, will take on an entirely different complexion. It's not so much that I feel Mexico will fail, they won't, but it might leave the door open for another runner-up in the 2nd or 3rd place. As I said, the Americans thought they might just coast into the finals now, but they drew with Jamaica. Now here's Bunbury. Like the way he got control with the chest first. And I think that was a better example of the lack of an improvement on the conviction in front of goal that I think was lacking in the first half. Now we have a game. Mexicans must try to put a little more edge to their play. They have the ability football-wise, but no answer to the rush and enthusiasm of the Canadians. Now what they ought to do is just take breath and keep the ball. They're good at that. Yes, that's the right way to go about it. So Canada fighting back now, surprisingly, after 21 minutes leading. That caption you just saw referred to World Cup goals. Figure I gave out was for total internationals that he's played. Nicely brought away. Look, that's a spirit of enthusiasm, but the passing has to be accurate in midfield as we go halfway through the second half. Well, for the sake of the game as a spectacle, I think it would have been horrendous had Mexico scored a second goal very quickly. I doubt very much of the Canadians could have come back from that, but now here they are in the lead. If it stayed like this, as I said earlier, they would have 8 points, the same as Costa Rica. They would have a game in hand. They could lift themselves up by winning the last remaining 2 games and maybe just squeeze in if anybody else lapsed. Off comes Alfaro, and on comes Cuauhtémoc Blanco. And Luis Garcia, perhaps the most famous of all the players that they have at the moment. Luis Garcia scored 4 World Cup goals. Here's Zague coming in. Ball was pushed to his right-hand side, though. And they're being forced out by sheer numbers getting back. Here's Bent going after this. He won't make it. So Luis Garcia comes on, scored 2 immaculate goals when he played in that very decisive game against the Republic of Ireland in the steamy heat of Florida back in the World Cup. He's been brought on late because he's, as a substitute, hasn't been fully fit recently. There's the other substitute, Cuauhtemoc Blanco. Just seeing a little more of the ball, the Mexicans, and losing it. Looked like a foul to me as Hermosillo coming back just a little bit deeper. Zague. Here's Luis Garcia. Being harried there by Bunbury. Hermosillo. Well, the football, as you can see, is very neat, isn't it? Neat little build-up, short passing, all running into space, and then when they come across that line here, they're finding it difficult to get the opening like that there. But at least you can see from Garcia, he does know how to get into the box. Probably the nearest you can find to an Hugo Sanchez in the present squad. And Bora Milutinovic out bowling now. There's Garcia. It's turned out to be a much harder contest than I'm sure the Mexicans anticipated. Well, the American coach, Steve Sampson, is up to see this game. Having to face up, of course, to the Canadians. I think he's had plenty food for thought. Zague on with it. I think one or two of these Mexican players have lost heart. Forward there by DeSantis. Nash might try for the corner. Well, he found himself cornered in there. Very little he could do about that. Again, he seemed to be lacking support. DeSantis was very late coming up behind him. Bunbury took his eye off that. Just touched away by Suarez. Mexicans battling against this tricky window. Conditions absolutely alien to them. If you've ever been in the Azteca where they play, even on a cool day, it's claustrophobic and warm and humid. They hardly ever play to a crowd less than 100,000. It's an awesome spectacle. Free kick given, rushing across Garcia Aspe. Well, Garcia Aspe and Luis Garcia have formed the mainstay, the core of this Mexican midfield for the past 4 years. Nash. Much too slack. I think Nash is much better when he gets his head down and tries to get to the line to cut it back. Well, the Mexicans have the football in them to score goals. If they could only have a finisher in the box. Bunbury, a little bit obvious with that. And a good decision by the referee. Free kick. Referee looks fit enough. Much too far forward, no chance that time of Luis Garcia picking it up. Playing at the moment for Atlanta. Played for Real Sociedad and Atletico Madrid, of course. There he is, just touching that back. And it goes to Ramirez. Well, he did find a little tunnel. And good positioning that by Forrest. And also the very fact that he took the ball cleanly. No opportunity for anybody to come up and pick that up. That's better play. This must be it, surely. Oh. Unbelievable that this man, given what appeared to be a gift, a very talented player indeed. The man who was building up, as I said, he'd played for Real Sociedad, Atletico Madrid, very successfully in Spain, and knocks that way past. Great play by Hermosillo, and that's how it ended. I think the ball has just gone out. Wonderful opportunity there. And again, I think it summarizes the perennial problem of the Mexicans. Whatever happens to them inside the penalty area. If ever they come across a natural striker like Hugo Sanchez, as I said, they would make a formidable team. Plenty outfield football. And finishing like that. Well, it looks as if Corazin has taken a bad knock. Looks to me like the left leg, and of course they've got to do something about it quickly in a very cold temperature. As we're inside the last 15 minutes. Well, it looks to me as if Jason Bent is being booked for delaying tactics. He was looking down towards his mate being put on the stretcher. I'm not saying that that exactly ranks with the way the Portuguese player was booked for walking slowly off the field against the Germans when he was being substituted, but it's very near it. In fact, that Portuguese player ended up sent off. It was his second yellow card. That's submitted by Garcia. Garcia Aspi, in fact, on to Garcia, Luis Garcia. Ramirez tries for the 1-2. It doesn't come off. Now they're pressurizing Canada. They get the goal kick out of it. No complaints there, really. And very good play again by Fletcher. Carl Fletcher coming in, having a splendid game. Another substitution coming up here, and it looks like Fernando Aguirre plays in Portugal. FC Maia, or Nacional as it's sometimes called. He plays mostly defensive midfield, and picked up here by De Santos. That's a good position for him now and there. I think he may, as he took that on the left-hand side, that may Mobilio, that's the substitute to just on the field. I think he would have been better off touching that towards the far post. Not a good chance, though. Bent doesn't get away with it, though. Ramirez gets it to that left foot of his. Everything comes through his left. Here's Alfaro, the goal scorer. Well, that's good play, and that again was Luis Garcia, almost wriggling his way free. De Santos eventually getting the Yallop eventually getting the touches. Bunbury goes in after this. Now Pardo. Ooh. Life is never dull when Jorge Campos is on the pitch. Well, that will do the Canadians nicely with very close to 10 minutes of the game left. Ball played back there well. He did have it well in his sights eventually. A little bit of a slip. Ricardo Piles is on. Decided to put a player forward there, Ricardo Piles. Scored 14 goals in the last 3 seasons. Plays for Club America. And now surely the main principle by which Canada have to play the remainder of the game is concentrate, make no mistakes in defense. And away it goes from Samuel. And the main threats will come down this left-hand side again, I think. Got to watch the left foot of this man, Ramon Ramirez. That should be for Forrest. Seemed to lose sight of it. And the assistant referee had his flag up, but no free kick. Well, the ball's slipping out of Forrest's grasp. That's the only mistake he's made in the game. He said 2 tremendous saves in the match. They're bunching well, the Canadians. And I think if they just make that area there congested, the likes of Alberto Garcia Aspe will end up with that frustration. The Mexican finishing has, in relation to the rest of the play, been deplorable, and I think that must make the Canadians optimistic, and that man there, Bora Milutinovic, quite pessimistic by comparison. And he's wishing perhaps that these shades were a little darker. Indeed, he's looking at the world through a glass darkly, and the horizon of France hasn't diminished. It's just looked that little more distant. Less than 9 minutes left. Coach out again with instructions to Nick DeSantis. Better footballing team, the Mexicans, but when you're analyzing a football match, it's not just down to the niceties and the technical nature of the game and the individual skills. It's about team spirit. It's a team game after all. Sometimes you can be successful even though the skill isn't there, and so I think it would be a pity on that basis if the Canadians had to lose this game. They've only had 1 victory so far. 2 draws, 4 defeats. And this would help as Forrest does the right thing. Just clear the lines, get it down the other end, and here we go. That's Campos. Sometimes you feel he ought to wear spikes to rush back to his line. Well, what the Canadians are doing now isn't pretty to watch, but it's effective, getting everybody behind the ball when they should. And the clock is running down for Mexico, but they get a free kick here. Now, really, the Canadians ought to be able to defend this well. Colin Miller protesting that, but the referee having none of it. They do have the height for the balls coming in like this. And there it is, Miller getting back to that. Now Bunbury just wants to hold the ball a little. This is a sub, Mobilio. That's an interesting looking ball into Bent. And they had to get the defenders back very quickly there. It was Coyote who came in. And Suarez, Davino. That's the kind of longer ball that might be effective now. Played out there by Blanco. Every clearance is being cheered by this Canadian crowd now. Here's Pardo. Throwing everything in now, but being a little bit obvious. Now, if they are going to penetrate this Canadian defense, it really must be by close passing, and here is Bunbury. Campos just getting there. And that was a classical case of two men not knowing who eventually should go for the final touch. And it's also nervous tension. I don't think the Mexicans can believe that they're trailing 2-1. Five minutes left for what would be a very notable victory indeed. And if it stays like this, as I've emphasized, Jamaica, the United States, El Salvador might be given that greater opportunity to get to the top. And it might make it even more difficult to get that third place. Canada coming up. If they win their game against the United States, that's a better ball. Can he put it away? He does, it's in. Goal by Ramirez. And eventually touched in by Hermosillo. And look at them. Delighted with that, and Yogi Campos comes down with about 4 minutes of the game remaining. Yes, I think that man really should get about 90% of the credit of the goal. Look at the way he bores in here, Ramirez, getting it to that left foot of his, and I think the ball had crossed the line. We shall see from this. I think it went off the post and in. Well, I'm going to give it to number 7, Ramirez. So 2 each now. Now they're going for the jugular and the winner. Oh, what a pity for the Canadians. I always like to see a team rolling the sleeves up, trying to compensate for obvious technical and skillful deficiencies and making something of it. Here he comes again, Ramirez. And it's just over. Final blow there by Luis Garcia. And the second time he's been caught off balance inside the box. And this man, Ramirez, has had a wonderful game, laying on that first goal in the first instance. Now Bunbury. Very good skill, but where are the red jerseys to give support? 2.5 minutes left. There's a shot at goal, and it just passed. Campos giving the impression that he felt that that was going way past in any case. Nice little touch there by Setantis. And swept in there. Aguirre getting the final blow. And all credit to them. They don't look disheartened, the Canadians. They're still going for it. Turned out to be a wholly entertaining second half. So near, yet so far. Mexico were requiring a draw to make absolutely sure, but requiring a victory to make absolutely sure, but this draw now helps them certainly much better than that defeat. And again, the group may take on a familiar complexion. Robilio. Tried to curve it in. A beautiful clearance there. Garcias coming back and whipping that away. Good teamwork that time. The midfielder slotting in almost in the left back position. We're into the last minute. Might be a minute or two of stoppage time. And the Canadian goalkeeper Forrest had come out. He's way out. Nobody in goal. And the Mexicans might be able to put it away here. It's a race to the line, and back comes 20-year-old Jason Bent to knock it away. Bold effort there by Craig Forrest. He realized it's a win or nothing for Canada. And that is swept by the wind behind, and Forrest desperate to get on with the game. Well, we see that so often in football now, the goalkeeper coming up. It is a risk, and he got away with it. All they want to do now is knock the ball about. Alfaro. Touched forward by Luis Garcia. That's not a bad ball there, and back comes the youngster again to defend well. Number 19 there coming up as well, Ricardo Paredes. He's only been playing for the last 15 minutes. And now we're stoppage time as the final whistle eventually goes. And I think you can tell from the body language there of Alex Bunbury that the Canadians realize